there, boys, girls, and squirrels. My name is Modstab. Welcome back to another tutorial build. So if you guys have been following this channel for the last couple weeks, you guys would have known that I've been playing me some WoW Classic, and I've got a sweet addiction. And if you also can't tell, we're back on the like my YouTube world, so to speak. I usually try to do these tutorial series on a different world, but I just thought this one fit in so dang well. So before we get started, I want to show you what blocks we're going to be using. We have the cobblestone block, cobblestone slab. We got the oak logie boys. We got the endstone bricks. We got excusez-moi. We got the redstone lamps. We're actually going to be using these as windows because they fit the aesthetic we're going for. Then we got to, what is it, the Presmarine stairs? Yeah, Presmarine brick stairs specifically. Then we got the sprucey stairs and the spruce slabs. And this should be everything for the building itself. And we're going to go ahead and get rid of these bad boys just so we can have the space that we need. They'll be on my bottom hotbar the whole time anyways, so we'll be good there. Now I have this small section cleared, and I know it's not going to fill out everything. And one sec. Alright, so now I got the weather and everything taken care of. We're actually going to go ahead and start. Now I got to remember the dimensions because I did kind of play around with dimensions and things like that for a little while. So okay, yeah, that's what we're going for. So we have 6 and we have 6. And then what I'm going to do now, just so you guys get an idea, we're going to put the staircase straight down. Now I'm thinking the interior will probably just replicate, you know, and build like such for now. But, and I'm sure you guys have known by the title, but we are going to be building ourselves a human house, which is why I'm connecting the dots back to our, I've been playing a lot of Classic in the last few days. So we're going to try to do something simple here. Now, this is going to be really weird and really difficult. So I'm going to do something like this here to kind of create that, that idea of maybe it like stepping in, stepping out, maybe being a more like of a brick foundation. Now, the problem is the Warcraft houses have some really weird shapes and textures and lines that you cannot replicate very well in Minecraft. So I'm gonna do my best by using some of the blocks that I have placed right now. And then we're gonna go ahead and get this bad boy done. I know it's not going to be a perfect representation, but it's going to be my representation of it. So right now we have 6 on either side of a staircase into like the interior, and I'm going to be putting these brick slabs across it because I think it's going to help really give you that idea of having like a tapered foundation. And then the next section here, I have to remember what my count was, so give me a second here while I figure out what count that I want to use to make it look a little bit more of a like a rectangle. Alrighty, so after looking at my build on the other world to kind of get like the idea of spacing, it looks like I went 9 this way. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now the nice part is once you get the depth and the width here, you literally just copy that over because it is really just a simple rectangular styled house. But the thing that we're changing here is this idea of having like a tapered foundation. And so I'm hoping that'll help kind of round it out, give it a little bit more depth, because other than that, it's going to be a pretty flat build. So now here's where things get weird. So I'll probably throw up an image in this video like right now, just to give you an idea of what this house normally looks like, to show you guys this just really has some dang weird shapes. So what I'm gonna actually go ahead and do is at each corner, I'm gonna put these like logs, these oak logs here. And once again, I'm gonna reference to see what height I'm looking at, and then we'll be right back once I figure out the height that I'm going for. Okay, so we have that situated. Now here's where things get a little weird. So you guys saw the image of the house that I gave you. But the problem is, we don't really have a good way to get those weird diagonal shapes. So my compromise here, first and foremost, we're going up 4 blocks here. So what I'm doing is I put 1 space between the door, I go up 4, and then we do 3 spaces and we go up 4, and we just replicate that idea right here, because we want it to look the same, okay? We want it to be symmetrical. Now, here's where things get a little bit more unique. So you give 1 space on the sides, because we're going to be doing some windows and stuff like that, okay? That ain't no surprise. And then what I like to do here is we give our space here, and then we're going to be putting our windows in this 3-pronged section. So we're going to just replicate that, leave those open. Now, keep in mind that we're going to be putting some stuff across these here. So that way we can have kind of those cross beam sections that they have in the actual, like, Warcraft, like, human houses. Obviously, we can't do those diagonals in the good old Mine of Crafts. So we're going to have to be a little creative, okay? Now, this is where things get a little more unique. And where they... Oh, my gosh! Okay, took me a second to figure out how to spell. Now, what I like to do... Not everybody likes to do this, but I like to have all the... you know what? I experimented with it. I think it gives it so much more separation when you do it this way. And now, literally, you're just going to go around and you're going to frame this bad boy up. Finish framing it just like that. So you want it to go sideways. That way it gives you a little bit more of a, like a contrasty, like, it gives you some pop. Let's just put it that way. And now what I might do on the doorway here, I'm a big fan of inlaying doorways because it helps give you a lot of extra depth. So what I'm going to do on the doorways, rather than have this log here, I kind of want it to replicate that area. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this oak wood. Now, this is kind of a modifier that I really just kind of thought of. Let's do it this way. There we go. That way it's facing the same way. We kind of have that consistency. And then you have this doorway, and we can inlay the door without having to worry about these weird alternation of textures and stuff like that. So next, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to put in these in-stone bricks, because this is kind of what's going to really help us fill things up. Now, you're going to want to go... I was looking over to kind of check time and things like that, see where we're at. So I'm sorry, okay? Forgive me, please forgive me. No, it's me, Senpai. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up 2 bricks from where we kind of went sideways, right? And you're just going to fill that up, just like that. Now, it's going to be a little different here, as we're going to have kind of a... We're going to have like a 3x3 section. So it's not going to be a perfect representation here. And this is actually where we're going to do the redstone lamp. So we're going to do 3x2. I think I said 3x3. That's my mistake. But we're going to kind of keep everything too tall. And what this is going to do is this is going to help just create some variation in like textures and in colors. But it's also going to maintain that idea of having kind of that same spacing. So it all looks like a cohesive design. It looks very similar with itself. All right. So now you should have something that looks like this kind of all the way around. And we're using these for the windows. I know they're not the best windows and you can't see out them, but they look so much nicer for this build. Now you literally just do what you did on the bottom. Now the exception here is it's not going to be quite as broken as the bottom, because once we get this on the top, this is kind of the frame. Oops, forgot to put a block in. This is going to be kind of the frame for your roof. So you don't need to go too crazy here. And now this is where kind of the build takes a little bit of a turn. And I've been saying that a lot, but this is where I personally start to build and put in the actual roof line, which we're using the Prismarine bricks stairs because, quite frankly, they just work a little nicer. Now, let me do a little digging. I got to remember, because I have a picture over here also of what I did on my other build to try to get inspiration, just a quick look in, but I can't quite tell what my spacing is. So let me go ahead and log into the other world, get the spacing and everything down, and I will be right back. I did a little counting, I figured some stuff out, and I came up with something like this on the other world. Now, there was a lot of jumping back and forth from world to world to make sure I got the math correct, so I didn't want to put you guys through that. But essentially what you're going to do is, this was that base that we originally had over here. That's going to be kind of the, once again, the foundation. But from there, we actually have a little bit of an overhang, and this was, I was a little confused about whether I had the overhang or not. But you have this guy here, and essentially all you're doing is you're making a staircase all the way up, right? All right, and we're going to do this. Ooh, hello, did it upside down. And we're going to make the staircase all the way up. Now, this is where things get a little bit kind of weird, as we're still going to have this little gap, but we still need to come to the A-frame, and it's going to peak right about where this guy is here. And then we're going to do some creative stuff. So what I like to do in this to kind of break up the color scheme is I like to put that in-stone brick in, because it keeps everything from being the same tone of wood all the time. And now this is where things get a little interesting, because you have the 1 block peak, right? Now, what I like to do in pretty much every roof line, if you followed any of my tutorials or any of my like builds at all, I like to protrude this out. Why? Because it gives us a bunch of depth. It's really simple way to add some extra depth. And now what that's going to allow us to do here is we're going to be able to put these staircases upside down, which is going to give us a little bit more subtle of a curb. And then we come back here and we can kind of get a feel for like, okay, so it's a little thicker there. What might not hurt is, boom, doing that. And then from there, we can actually just take the regular Presmarine bricks. Let's go ahead and get our brick in. All right, and we're going to take these. Yeah, we're going to take these bad boys in. We're going to replace the logs here with the Presmarine bricks, because we're just going to take this bad boy basically all the way across. Oh my Lanta. Now, fortunately for us, we're not worried about the interior. And I say that kind of lightly because I understand that we do kind of want to be worried about this, the interior a little bit. But the main idea of this build is to give you guys that exterior foundation to start with. All right, so now that we got the windows kind of on both sides here, we're going to go ahead and just replicate that pattern that I had over there. And it's going to just look something like this. All right, so this is going to be kind of my way to show you guys from scratch. So you have 1, give it a space, do 3, 1, give it a space, do 3, and just like building a staircase, you go ahead and do that, right? Now this is where it alternates ever so slightly. So this is actually where I went ahead and I put a bar across here. Now this is just for space holder, but we did that guy there, and we specifically wanted to protrude 1 away from the house so that it gives us that extra depth that we are looking for. And then we went ahead and put these guys in to create a little bit more depth in the color category. Now you just got to go ahead and plop these bad boys on there. All right, look at us go. Once you kind of get the main kind of area of this taken care of and the main design taken care of, it really does just kind of build itself. It's a very simple, like I said, rectangular shape. There's really not complex designing, at least that can be done in Minecraft. So a lot of the problem or the troubles you might have with this build is finding those creative ways to give you that extra texture. But we're actually going to be creating a lot of that with the roof line here, so it protrudes out a little bit. Now I might end up going 1 slab higher on this, just because it kind of has that abrupt ending. Now this is totally up to, you know, your creative idea here, but that extra little slab, it really does create like that nice little peak that we're looking for. That way it doesn't look quite as flat. And once again, we're trying to create as much depth as possible because it's a really simple house. And now what I like to do here is we put these little slabs here as like little windows. Little window sills. Now, one thing you could also do as well, now that I'm thinking about it, I kind of like doing this idea. So we're going to go ahead and put these bad boys out, right? You're going to be like, well, what the heck are you doing, man? That doesn't fit at all. I think it's going to create a little bit more life if we did this. Went ahead and went with the trapdoors, and we went with the oaks. We should be done with those stairs. So what we're going to do is we're going to frame this bad boy in. Oh, my Lanta with the weather. Are you kidding me? It's been going mad today. Usually I don't have to hardly do anything, but all right. Now let's go in here and let's just do some flowers. We're just gonna do this bad boy, and let's do a sunflower. We can plant those, right? There we go. All right. You can kind of do whatever you want on that front of things, but this is what I am doing here. All right, and I just think it looks nice. It's what are those called? Like hanging gardens. This kind of gives that nice, beautiful. Yay. It looks like a garden, you know, so it's not as like dry and not as boring, not as bleh. Now this is where things do get a little bit of interesting, and I'm actually going to go ahead and we're going to widen this staircase out. I know I said I was probably done with them, but I lied to you guys. We're going to do something like this just because it's kind of how it looks in the Wowcraft. The Wowcraft. Oh, good lord. All right, and then we're just going to go ahead and finish this. Ooh. We're going to... we're going to... I can't place anything in a straight line. We're going to finish this build. I'm actually going to go ahead and do it this way because I think it might be slightly faster with my horrible ability to be able to build correctly. And then we'll do some finishing touches after we finish this roof line. So I'm going to go ahead and jump cut. And I know right now we we have a very, very, very short video. But that's the beauty of tutorials, you know, like you don't need the house to be super complex. And the nice thing about this one here is, yes, it's super simple as is, but if you wanted to up the scale of this build, if you wanted to make it twice as big as it is now, you can actually start getting some of those diagonal textures and really put in some time to really make everything pop. And I can kind of show you guys an example of just the differences you can do, the different nuances you can do with like a much, much larger scale. But we'll do that after we get things done. And obviously it's not going to be the full house. I just want to maybe build a wall and show you guys like this is something that's absolutely possible if you're just willing to take a little extra time and make a slightly bigger house. And then maybe it'll be something to behold. You know, maybe it'll be way cooler than anything I could ever do. More than likely, a possibility. Let's go ahead and finish this bottom one, then we can just walk across it like scaffolding. Yeah, I said I was gonna jump cut like 40 times already, so we're gonna jump cut now, okay? I'm just gonna shut my filthy little cake hole, and I'll see you guys once we finish the roof line. And we are back, and I almost forgot one very, very, very important part. We're gonna go ahead and, okay, we're doing it. We're gonna make a recovery. So we actually forgot to make the little window that was in the roof here. So we're actually going to go up to here, and we're going to do a 3x2 section. Now, nothing fanciful here, obviously, as stated prior. And once again, we're still not doing too bad on the whole busyness front. But we're actually going to go ahead and take this roof line here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and plop this guy in here. And we're just going to follow this roof line back until it kind of links in properly, just like that. And what that's going to do is, oh, hello, baby boy. All right, so we're going to delete this bad boy here. So this might mess up some of your numbers, and I apologize for that. That's totally my fault. But this is going to give us a lot more depth in the roof line. Once again, that's really what we're trying to create, is that extra layer of depth. All right, and we're actually going to get rid of you. There we go. Now that is what I'm talking about. And now for me, I once again like we're gonna time set day this bad boy. Look at us go. I do like the overhang once again because it just creates that nice little depth. And now we don't want it to be a perfect connect because it is technically a slightly different roof line here. But what we are gonna do is do the upside down stairs on these little 2 slots. And just like on the last And just like on the last one, we're going to go ahead and just fill this one up here because we just want it to look all nice and fancy. And you're going to get something just like that. Now, kind of, we're really basically at the finishing touches for this build with a door. So let's go ahead and look at a door here. Now, I, once again, am a huge fan of these sprucey doors. And since I said I was going to inlay it, that's what we're going to do because it just creates a lot more depth. Like, look at that. Like, that looks so much better than just having a flat face. Now, some of the things you can do to spice this up, since like I said, you can't get that depth at this particular scale because it's just not going to look very good. You're going to be able to add like little plants and potted plants and things like that, kind of like what I did with these hanging gardens. They just create a lot of depth for that build for you. But that being said, I'll leave that up to your guys' creative genius. One thing you could do here is one of my favorite like little, not really tricks of the trade because, oh, I already have one. It's not really a trick of the trade. Let's see, where are we at here? There we go. It's leaves. That's what we need. We're just going to use oak leaves, keep it simple. Like I said, it's not necessarily tricks of the trade because a lot of people know how to do it. And quite frankly, it's a really simple bush design. But doing something like that, like that's going to help create a lot of depth. And maybe you do something like add a stone path like leading up to everything or whatever from like your main road and whatnot. So it's really, really, truly is up to you on how you want everything to kind of come together to create that extra layer of depth. Maybe you do more gardens up on the front since it's pretty bare bones up here. Maybe you don't. But with all that said and done, this here is going to be our simple little build. So we're going to go out. And now for those of you who do want to do an interior, I'll leave it wide open for you guys. You can cover this up. You can change it, alter it however you want. But traditionally, they have some bookshelves, some desks on either side here, maybe a wardrobe. And then on the back side, they usually have a fireplace. So that's really up to you guys. And if you do decide to do the fireplace, what I would advise doing is taking full, we'll actually go ahead and why don't we do it? So what I would advise doing is taking out something like this right here, come all the way up to the top. And now this is what I like to do because I like to have a 1 block center, but I also like having the fences on there, or the walls, excuse me, because what that allows us to do is put a campfire in the middle. And what this kind of does is help give your house a little depth. It doesn't look super great on a house this small, quite frankly. But I would take the functionality over aesthetics on this particular feature because this just goes a long ways to really bring it to life. So that's your guys' design aesthetic, and I'm gonna go ahead and kind of move on from this point. I'm going to show you what it might look like if you were to do it on, like, let's say a bigger wall. So I'm going to go ahead and jump on my other creative world because that's what we're going to do. But this has been the Warcraft Human House tutorial. Thank you guys so much for joining me in that aspect. Now let's jump in and show you some options available to you if you up the scale a little bit. We're on the creative world, and just to keep things a little simple, let me get some logs in here, and we're going to go ahead and go with oak because I like the contrast of oak. So, like, let's say you wanted to do something similar to that, all right? So you come down here, you bring this bad boy in, and this pretty much stands true for basically any build in existence. If you up the scale, you can up the detail in Minecraft. But there's a lot of these, like, diagonal, they come across type builds, and you can't really do that with logs. But what you can do is something like this with stairs, right? And that's going to give you a nice little diagonal. And then, for instance, they might go ahead and come from there. And with the weird wonky shapes that they have in these buildings, they'll do something like this. And then you might have some crisscrosses and things like that. You might have some different level changes, right? So you don't want to get too caught up in, you know, making it a perfect replica of the Warcraft house, because quite frankly, you're probably not going to be able to. But you have something like this, right? And you could do multiple different levels. You could do multiple different options. You could trim like this if you wanted to. You could do an upside trim. You could alternate. It really is heart's content at that point. But this is just a great example. And this is not a very big scale in comparison. This is just a small upscale. We're probably talking an extra maybe 5-10 minutes to the build if you did something like this. That would give you the option to get those diagonals, those crisscrosses. And like I said, sky's the limit. Like, you can alternate bricks. You can do different layers, different levels. You can have some stuff come in like this, lead up into that parallel. You can have it be, you know, you could go ahead and, like, let's say you wanted to kind of mirror that option. So you come over here and throw that bad boy up there just to kind of keep everything a little more cohesive. Maybe you like that specific aesthetic. So then you get up here and you live the dream. We're going to put that upside down. But as you can see, you have lots of options to create depth in those bigger houses. But this is a smaller scale. I kind of wanted to be able to do something with this series where you can get it done in day one, outside of the Pres Marine, obviously. But that being said, you can use any block you want to alter the color because human houses in Warcraft have multiple different colors. So whatever you have available to you, that is a build you can get yourself into. And we're going to go ahead and jump back in so we can get this bad boy. But for instance, like, if you didn't want to do Pres Marine, that just gives it a lot of color pop. Like, let's say you just use cobblestone. Okay, you could use wood. You could use wool if you wanted to make it white, green, blue, red, white, whatever you wanted to. Wool is also a capable option. Now, these redstone ones, contrary to popular belief, can pretty much be done day one as well. You just got to get yourself some redstone. It just requires you to do a little extra mining, so it might be a little bit tight, but you can certainly do it. The end stone, once again, is another exception, just like the Pres Marine slabs, but you can do stone bricks. Now, that might be a day two option. But you can really customize the different textures to your heart's content. With all that said and done, thank you guys so much for joining me in today's Minecraft tutorial series. If you guys liked it, remember hitting that like, comment, and subscribe. Those are all great ways for you to get in touch with me. Let me know what you liked and like what you want to see next. Hit the bell notification icon if you are subscribed. Subscribe if you haven't. And once again, if you haven't, hit the bell notification icon when you do, because that'll keep you up to date on what we're doing on this channel in the future. Every Wednesday, we do a live stream from 9 to 5. That'd be Central Time. So I would love to see everybody there because they're a lot of fun, you know. It's just a lot of fun to be able to interact with you guys in real time. All that being said and done, I'm going to shut my filthy little cake hole. I love you guys, and we will see you next time. Toodles!